microphone. I do have a microphone. Good morning, hello and welcome in this European Innovation Council session. It's actually going to be a session in which we will present and discuss how Hugo Macedo, over here, one of our phase 2 entrepreneurs, how he makes the most of coaching and acceleration services that we have accompanying the grant system. And actually his coach, Wolfgang Wohlsein, is also here. So we'll have a lively discussion. Actually, they were doing a session yesterday, and you'll see some of it on the slides today. Just as a very brief introduction, my name is Jasper Hemmes. I work in the Innovation Council on the Coaching and Acceleration Department. And you can see here that we really present that as the extra upon a grant system. We have the vision that if you add coaching and add acceleration services, it is of much more value for the company to profit from a grant system than without it. And you will see in the discussion among them how valuable that is. Actually, you see here Wolfgang, but he is one of about 1,000 coaches that we've been able to attract so far. And they're actually very brilliant people. Not all of them, I will confess, but most of them definitely. We have, for instance, a real astronaut on board. We have investors, and we have people who have the International Coaching Federation certificates. So we really have very good, experienced people around us. Most of them have been serial entrepreneurs themselves or have huge coaching experience with all kinds of companies. The impact is, and that is what these two guys here will demonstrate, largely that companies always give us the feedback that they improve their strategy. That is actually the most important part of it. And that is actually also the reason why we've introduced the coaching. It has really the purpose to keep the company focused on the business development, to develop a really tight strategy. So I think I will now give the microphone to Hugo Macedo, and I think you start here, right?
Thank you, Jasper. Yes. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to officially thank Jasper, and I would say, probably in the name of all of the Phase 2 and Phase 1 awardees, on really the benefit and how amazing these coaching sessions really are. So I would like to thank you and your team for all the support on that officially. And today I wanted to also thank the opportunity to be here and tell you a little bit more about our experience and also about our company. The world is changing, as you probably know. This is someone that you probably have heard about already. The world has changed from the past, where large corporates would probably dictate what the future would look like. Profits were always above anything else. But today, when we have young girls like Greta Thunberg, who on their own can actually bring a huge amount of people with them, this means there's a shift change in terms of how we now look at things, and therefore environment now becomes more important than profits. And this really means that there's the need for a huge change in the world. And air pollution and indoor air pollution are really on the news at the moment. It might sound a bit counterintuitive, but indoor air quality is about 2 to 5 times more polluted or worse than outside of our environment in the outdoors. And around 90% of our lives are actually spent indoors. Common indoor air pollutants are, for example, in the kitchens. You have airborne particles, you have formaldehyde coming from building materials, etc., ozone, carbon dioxide, etc. At Smart Separations, we really believe that there's this need to change. There are 2 ways of purifying air or cleaning air through filtration. On the right-hand side, you have the fibers on the top. Fiber-based filters are really random fibers that are there to just entrap things. After this becomes spent, you have to throw them away. On the other side, there is ceramics. Ceramics are a new type of material in this area in particular. The benefit of ceramics is that they can last longer, and you can probably clean them as well. At Smart Separations, we've developed a novel method, which is patent which is patented, in which we create ceramic substrates that have conical pores on them. And we use this really through nature, natural processes. Being conical, it also means that we can actually cut layers of our membrane. So over here you see one of those examples. And therefore, the lower we go in terms of those cones, the bigger the pores are. And with this, our technology allows us to make membranes or filters with pores anywhere from around 5 microns to 100 microns. And so whatever you need in this range, you can get it, which is a very different approach to any other technology at the moment. Because it's ceramics, you can also make them with pollutant-degrading and antibacterial coatings. You can reduce emissions. They have a high temperature resistance for cleaning, and they also have this sharp pore size cutoff. Our core motto is improving quality of life through innovation in 3 main areas. Better environment, tools for medtech. We're working in stem cell research and cancer research, as well as in charitable causes. At the core of Smart Separations really is about improving the world, and this also means to go out there and see where else our technology can actually fit. With this in mind, and this was one of the results from our coaching sessions, we really saw that we have a platform technology, which actually can go to so many different areas. And the octopus was a strategy that we came up with to really symbolize the different and the plethora of applications that we can go for. So instead of actually dive into all of them, we can actually cut them in different stages, and therefore we can target them one at a time when the time comes. And these 3 that I highlighted here are the ones we're currently looking into: indoor air purification, emissions reduction, as well as in life sciences. I wanted to leave you a little bit with the core mindsets and beliefs that I've brought since the inception of Smart Separations. I started it in my kitchen back in 2013. And these are 3 of, I would say, core mindsets that led me both to start as well as to keep on going. The first one is these 4 letters, JFDI. This was actually something when I did my PhD and postdoc at Imperial College. I was always talking about starting a company, but I never really came about to do it. So I heard these 4 letters, and which basically mean just fucking do it. So, you know, stop talking about it, just jump right into it. And this really led me to actually do something about it. So this was 6 years ago. I was alone in my kitchen, but this really allowed me to keep on going. At the same time, at Imperial College as well, there was this idea of joining innovation, i.e. business people, with designers, with engineers, to then lead to action. As you see, you get the idea over there. This core was really important because it's actually how I started Smart Separations. I brought the engineering side, I had a designer, and then a business person, and then together we took off to develop the company that we have today. Finally, a very important mindset is what I call the channel tunnel approach. When they drilled the channel tunnel from France all the way to the UK, we are based in London, at least at the moment, they did not drill the channel tunnel all the way to France and then try to see where it would end up on the other side, on the UK. What they have actually done, they came drilling from both ends. And the way is so that you can actually meet halfway. It would be really terrible if they started drilling the channel tunnel and end up in the north of the UK or something. So this is an approach that I use in my company. For example, when we talk about the R&D team and the manufacturing team. And again, you will see today we're going to talk a little bit. This was another one of those mindsets that we've developed in conjunction with our coach. So what challenges has Smart Separations faced 6 years on? To do that, first, I want to tell you that this was not a lonely journey. I actually had a lot of support along the way from mentors, from all of our team, etc. But back in 2016, when we got our phase 1 SME instrument, we were allocated a coach. And at the time, I had no experience with a coach. I actually thought, well, this person is going to disrupt everything, and probably we won't go along very well. I already know a few things. What are they actually going to teach me? If, are they going to be so disruptive that then we won't be able to work together? But I'm very happy to say that 3 years on, we're still working with that very same coach who has been very, very important in our journey. So I want to introduce you to Wolfgang. We'll tell you a little bit more about him.
This one works.
All right. So, yeah, hello. I'm Wolfgang Wohlsein from Austria. I met Jasper yesterday for the first time after working for him for quite a long time. So we are spread out all over Europe, the coaching team, and trying to make the best for the EU instruments. My life path was kind of stumbling into the coaching thing over various interesting stations. I started as a petroleum engineer, something which is not very fancy these days anymore, but I always keep saying we're still driving cars, we're still flying planes, we're still using ships to get around the world. So I think it's a good and solid starting point for a mindset, because the petroleum industry is one of the most complex ones, and once you master that, you can then deviate into various other industries. One of them, first one I did after petroleum engineering, was pharmaceuticals, which is something we have in common. And then new energies. I tried to get a new type of vertical turbine spinning. And then I did something which I always wanted to do, go into mergers and acquisitions. So all these various aspects, all these steps along the way, kind of gave me the tool set to get in touch with a lot of different business models, companies, cultures, sizes, which is, I think, what a coach needs. A coach definitely needs the capability to get into a new situation fast and then understand it and then work with what is there. So basically, what I see as what we do with the SME recipients is a mutual exploration journey. So we get there, we meet a new CEO, we meet their team, and of course a CEO always thinks he knows everything. So there is two things we need to establish. One is trust. Trust building is very important. So the coach is not somebody from the EU controlling the SME, whether it does their job right or not. The coach is somebody to genuinely help them. So as said initially, I'm not reporting directly to Jasper. I'm submitting an end report, then saying, okay, that worked, that was a little bit not so good. And the other thing is really understanding what the SME does and what their team does and where they stand. So I think that the biggest challenge is understand what the CEO does not yet understand, because everything he already understands, he doesn't need help with. So usually what we do, and that was our first session in London, we met, I was as curious as you were what would happen there. So basically we are running through a standard tool set. We're just checking the usual things, like a business model, like the strategy, organization, technology, whatever, the standard stuff. And as the first phase only is consisting of 3 days, you have to crunch a lot in there. So basically, it's a very quick introduction into the company and a quick fix, and trying to give it some structure to help the company get the grant. This is what phase 1 is all about. But then, and in this case, we successfully managed to receive the grant, there is a second session, and there you can go a little bit more in depth. You can start digging into the culture of the company. You can see, is their business model really relevant? This is where the real challenge starts. But also you can start exploring the real bottlenecks there now. And in case of Hugo and Smart Separations, we have clearly identified along the path that technology development is the core issue of this company. It's not getting to market, it's not getting finances at the first hand, because that was already there. He has a key finance partner. But the technology is something we really need to work on. So that then spread into 4 specific challenges we needed to address. One of them was technology stabilization. The second one was serialization and scaling. So these are internal challenges. And then the big question was how to align those 2 challenges with the organization and with the financing strategy.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. So, and this was a very important part for us because, like Wolfgang said, CEOs always think that they know everything, but of course they don't. Of course not. That's the whole point. That's why we really need support. That's why we need to have discussions with. Sorry, Jasper. That's why we have the need to keep challenging our business models, etc. And that's where really we've identified, and like Wolfgang was saying in the beginning, I was quite adamant about how could this work, what would be the areas. But through this structure, we realized 2 key problems. And it's also important to remember that we learn more from the blisters than we do from the bliss. So in fact, it is when we are going through the challenge, when we are going through the pain, that's when we really strive to develop and to improve on it. And so there were 2 key problems. As we now went through from a phase 1 into a phase 2, today we are really halfway through our phase 2, a bit beyond the halfway through. And a core problem was how you grow performance as your team grows. And so now our team is growing, and this was something that I presented to Wolfgang. So we came together and I was asking him, you know, now the team is growing, but how do I go about this? I'm a new CEO. I've never done this before in my life. What is the best approach? So
yeah. Yes. So again, one of the key capacities a coach brings is the outside view. And when he did a lot of work, we did a lot of work together, analyzing your situation, your culture, your people, the way you operate, your methodology. And then the question arises, okay, now all these diverse people have come together. Everybody has their own path they want to pursue, to follow. But now we are in a situation where we need a structured organization on one hand, and then the financial capacities are limited. So we have to find a way to distribute them and make the most out of that. While being respectful to the team, making sure everybody is heard and considered. So it's a subtle balance that we try to establish here. So overall, again, structure and focus, something a coach tries to do. We found that the 2 key streamlines that Smart Separations is currently organized around, its technology one is quantity and one is quality. So in one stream, they try to optimize cost, which is a very standard industrial process, serialization, getting more and more of the product from a large factory. And the other one is quality, getting the optimum properties from that little ceramics thing.
Can I ask, how does this actually work between the 2 of you? Because you keep saying, we need to build and we have this, but you're not the entrepreneur here. So
well,
how does that work between the 2 of you?
I consider myself as a team, but...
Yes, well, Wolfgang is part of the team. I think that at the end of the day, the way it works is exactly what Wolfgang mentioned right at the beginning when you saw the first strategy. So our first meeting, I know what I want to do, but the problem a lot of times is about giving structure to that thinking. So we normally go about this normally is at least in 2 days. On the first day is a bit of a debrief to the coach. So none of us actually has any idea of the outcome on the other side. I mean, that slide that we presented today looks quite nice and structured. 3 years ago, we had no idea we were even going that way. So I think the whole point is about keeping the mind open. We both trust each other. I think that word is very important, that we need to trust each other. I need to trust that I know that I'm confiding in someone that he won't tell, you know, all those problems won't go back to the European Commission or even to our employees or to our investors. They do stay there because sometimes that is a very important part, that I feel comfortable to share all of that. And then in the middle of all of that, we actually realize, you know, the problems you thought you had, they don't exist. These problems, actually, let's reframe them. And really, that's how it came about, that I have almost, you can call it almost a sidekick, someone that kind of comes back with their experience, with their non-biased opinion, and they completely changed the whole thing. And for me, is a brilliant opportunity to see, okay, if Wolfgang thinks that I am going on the right path, and this is the right way to frame it, then brilliant. It's a good way for me to check my strategy is correct.
Yeah, and from the coach side, it's basically, I mean, coaching is as much an art as it is science or applied methodology. I would say so. So my personal methodology, being very confident with the broad variety of projects I've seen and applications and business models, is I can go in with something I call the blue eye approach. I have no prejudices to what the SME is going to have or say or do. I'm just starting to listen and analyze. So, and Hugo is the perfect counterpart for that because he likes to talk a lot. So first day I basically listen in to all the company needs to present, everything they have, they are proud of what they have. And then we try to find, you know, the bottlenecks, the pressure points, and work with that. So this is...
I think it's also important to refer that something that I completely changed my mind about coaching, and I learned what actually a coach is all about, is that it's not, again, what I was mentioning about, it's not about disrupting everything. It's not like coming back there and say, everything you've done so far is completely wrong, let's apply these methodologies. Because then, at that point, everyone would be lost, because I would be completely depressed, I wouldn't be able to continue, and the coach wouldn't be able to do anything, because the coach wouldn't be able to take the company forward. So it's very important to realize here that the coach's work is about, the way I normally say is about leveraging, is about understanding where the company is, and without disrupting too much, steering it in whatever direction it's already going, but kind of narrowing it down a little bit, and providing it structure. I think that's the key point behind it.
So Hugo has shown the little octopus at the beginning. So that's kind of a process that I would call authenticating and building common language, because the octopus is somehow a picture that Hugo mentioned and carried, and so we tried to frame the business model around a nice picture, and everybody, you know, immediately connected to it. So we had a common language throughout the whole process with this octopus. There's also a female version for the organization. So there has to be a bit of fun in the process as well. So yeah, do we have time to go into the specific problems? 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so organization-wise, we made a very nice structure, quantity and quality. They are competing a little bit with each other for resources. But having that simple thing in your mindset, you have to focus on quality and quantity at the same time and balance them, I think was of some help for you to structure your reorganization process.
Absolutely. And then obviously a problem that everyone has is the money. So the second problem that then we discussed was about how can we reframe money. So obviously we were running out of cash, as any company does. And so we discussed this, and this was our last meeting. Wolfgang, do you want to?
Sure. So finance, I guess every SME stumbles across financing issues at some point in time. So we were not in the valley of death, but as Hugo called it, not far above the grass line. So we tried to get everything together that we could. The mentor of Hugo, a Cambridge professor, Alan Burrell, we tried to describe the situation with him as openly as openly as possible, and then see what we could do. And the outcome was basically Hugo wanted to go to his key anchor investor and get some money. And he was basically pretty far away cost-wise. So, but then what do you do? What do you sell? You could go to your investor and say, oh, I failed. Yes, sorry, my costs are way up. Or you could go the other way around and say, see what I've achieved. I've come from 10,000 euros a unit to now, I don't know, I'm just using random numbers here. It's not not too related to Hugo's business case. But I've come down a long way, and now I need you to go this rest of the path with me. And this is what I need, how much I need, when I need it. So the first part is framing it in a way that it's positive. We have achieved a lot. Now we need your support to go the rest of the way. And the second thing was basically framing it a little bit as a challenge for the investor, saying, look, we can do this on our own, but if you don't go with us, it will be a far more bumpy road, it will be far longer, you risk that other investors take your place, you will be watered down. So it's kind of a two-way motivation lesson.
Exactly.
To say, this is the positive part, this is the part where we put a bit of pressure on you. And then again, clearly structured in a way that the investor can easily understand.
And this is a great example of exactly how, because I knew what I wanted, I knew that this was the right path, but then I had no idea, this was not on my mind, and I'm also a very visual person. So from our meeting, it came out something quite beautiful, quite in one single slide, and there's a couple more slides that I'm not showing, that came out of that meeting that really framed it very nicely, that then it made a lot of sense on my mind. Again, we're not changing my strategy, we're not even adding anything further to it, we're just reframing it so that it's more perceptible to others. And I think that's the key message over here.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. When we talked yesterday, and we tried to remember all the path that we have gone through, we had actually a hard time, because now we are at different challenges and you tend to forget all that you have achieved, because the new challenges, they become big. It's the halo effect. But I think an important message here is a coach does a very good job when he's invisible. So if you look back in hindsight, you say, oh, that was clear all the way down anyways. No, basically nobody helped me do that. I knew that all on my own. Then the coach did kind of a good job.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually, very recently, we got another grant from the Portuguese government to put a factory or manufacturing facilities in Portugal with all of this. So our company is moving forward with raising money, and this is very exciting. So, of course, exactly. Sometimes I say, you know, it was all our team and us, but of course that the coaching has had a huge influence over here. So thank you, Wolfgang. So now we would like to share our experience with the EIC Business Acceleration Services as well.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Hugo. My name is Agnieszka, and I work together with Jasper on the coaching and business acceleration services. What is the idea? The idea is that to the companies that receive funding from the European Innovation Council, so far 5,000 companies within the portfolio, we offer them coaching, what you actually just heard, and business acceleration services. Just a short video to show you what it is about. Innovation Kitchen. This is in fact the latest report we have published about how the portfolio performance. I will let you watch, and maybe if we could freeze this. Thank you. So here is the report. You can download it. Innovation Kitchen basically presents the performance of the portfolio of these 5,000 companies. But this is not what I will talk about today. What I will talk about is what we actually offer in terms of services for the companies. So what we have is a connection with corporates, connection with investors, community building. So we very truly believe that there's a lot of learning that can be done in the exchanges between the companies. And what we also develop now is also offer for the EIC Pathfinder. So this is a new services that we are developing. So you heard EIC pilot, it's about EIC Pathfinder, so the early stage of innovation, and EIC Accelerator, well, it's still early stage, but there is already a company that that is formed and that is pushing the innovation to the market. So now we will be serving the both communities with services to bring the innovation to the market. This is some results that we had so far. So we had 7,500 so far companies in the community, and then now the innovators coming from Pathfinder will come as well. We organize 40 networking events per year. As I said, connections with corporates, connections with investors. Let's say 25 of companies that are participating in our events have a follow-up discussions. We had plenty of B2B meetings, plenty of follow-up deals, as well, etc. Can I have another presentation that I just sent you before? So this is what we offer for the companies. I will maybe present you the two formats that we are actually very proud of. So the first one is a corporate day. What is a corporate day? The idea is that we connect the companies that were actually selected by the corporate. We put them together in an event. No one is losing time. The company wanted to meet the corporate selected companies they want to see. We organize a matching event, and then, as I show you before, up to 70% of these companies actually sign a proof of concept for this. And yes. No, it actually does not work. Okay, no worries. But maybe I can ask Hugo, who actually attended this corporate days, how it went for you. So you attended the one that we organized with Saint-Gobain and with Solvay. Could you tell about how it went? Yes, yes.
Yes, I mean, first of all, it's, I don't know if the sound is coming up. I can try to speak louder in the meanwhile. First of all, I think we probably, as a small company, as an SME, we wouldn't probably deal with a large corporate, at least not as early. Because when we talk about a company like Saint-Gobain with 4,000 engineers spread all over the world, it almost makes it impossible for us to knock the doors of all 4,000 to find out who's the real decision maker. And so the acceleration services was really a great opportunity for us to actually come there, and we found out that Saint-Gobain, for example, has a small team of people facing the outside, i.e. these are people inside of Saint-Gobain, but they're looking at other companies outside their portfolio to find out technologies that could match very well what they are doing. And because of that, we've decided to apply, and we then realized that Saint-Gobain probably is one of those key partners that would match very well what we are doing. And in no way are they our competitors. They would actually be collaborators. And in fact, we had a great follow-up. We had a brilliant day in Paris with them. And then we are now following up with them, and we have really very exciting leads, which we would not have had we not gone through the program.
This is, in fact, what you can see on the slide is our corporate partners with whom we organized so far corporate days, and the new are coming. So you can see this is the major corporates, leaders in different industries in Europe. So there is, and not only, there is Roche, ABB, Airbus. We also did with BMW, Procter & Gamble, and again we have André Kovacs from Procter & Gamble here with us as well. And if I could play the video now of the Procter & Gamble event that we organized in May 2019, so like this you grab a feeling of how does it look like. Huh? Procter & Gamble event was quite a big one. Yeah. Still cannot see it. But the music is there.
Gives a good environment.
So that was a bit bigger event than what we usually organize. Normally there are 15, 20 companies. We realized that in fact this more intimate format brings a lot of value because there's a full focus on the companies, and this is what we want to achieve. the full focus on the companies that are present there. And here is the video with the sound.
So basically you're in for 2 days of pitches.
So at this event, we actually had 100 companies pitching in front of several corporates that came. Another question I would like to ask to you, Hugo. Do you remember what was the format in Saint-Gobain? So there were pitching and as well the one-to-one meetings with the corporate?
Yes, exactly. So we had the chance to pitch. So each company had, I think, 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to pitch. And that was really valuable because then following up, we had the coffee break and we had then the one-to-one meetings, which some of them were already booked, but then we noticed that they changed it last minute because they adapted to the different pitches. And we felt that was a great opportunity. But also, I would also say that it's not only about pitching to Saint-Gobain. It was great also to see the other pitches because obviously we don't have a lot of opportunities to be with our peers as well. So that was also a good opportunity to see what other companies are doing. Even we had the chance to talk to some of the others for potential partnerships as well and to learn from each other. So I think it was a great opportunity from that sense. And then on the one-to-ones, we felt there was really genuine interest from Saint-Gobain, at least to our company. So we had people from the life sciences all the way to their ceramics, as well as the venture side. So for us was a very good opportunity to reach out to the decision makers and to really strike a chord over there. Let's see, obviously, what it takes. But obviously, the feedback I got is also that they still are a very large company, so it always takes time for things to happen. But we are on that journey. We would never have been able to do it if that was not happening. So I think it was a good opportunity from that end.
And what you mentioned also, though, this, let's say, a peer-to-peer, so the contacts with the other companies, because this is also something that we very much believe that the knowledge is there. You can meet another company who actually already is selling in China, so you can learn about, how they are doing, how they went to this, or something completely unexpected, so a completely different sector. And you realize that you can actually work together. I think you also participated in this big community event that we had last year in Berlin. There were more than 400 companies funded by EIC there. Can you say a little bit more about this peer element?
Yeah, actually, it was one of the most probably I actually had the opportunity to say that to some of my colleagues back home. In my company, that the EIC Summit in Berlin last year was probably one of the best events I've personally been to because of that, exactly. There were all over 400 companies. The quality of the pitches were really amazing. And also, having the chance to see what others are doing, like I was just saying, was really good. There were some, because it was the innovation kitchen, there were some opportunities to learn how to pitch, others to make questions, to grill, and to be grilled. And I think for example, I had the chance to collaborate or to start discussions with some of those companies that they were also showcasing what they had there. Some companies further away on the development than we were. We could ask them that. We could also share our experiences. So I think that was, in terms of matchmaking, that was a brilliant event from this perspective. So the peer-to-peer is really strong, and we are building this great community. And so why not learn and continue to learn between us? So.
Thanks a lot. So we talked about the corporate events. We also have investor days, similar formats, companies pitching and meeting in one-to-one meetings the investors. These are the investors with whom we are working so far, and there are many others coming. So again, the idea is that the companies are applying, the investors are selecting the companies they want to see. So again, when they meet, no one is losing time here. Maybe just to finalize, I would like to ask you, Hugo, what are you up to now? So, you know, what are the new developments in your company?
I wish I could tell you that we are already done and that everything is working perfectly. Every time I say that we are already, you know, that this is the biggest decision and things are moving, right now, like I said a while ago, we were very lucky to secure this grant from the Portuguese government to bring our manufacturing facilities over there. Our Phase 2 grant has always been about taking a technology which we were developing in the lab. I started in my kitchen, all the way through a garden shed and into my garage. Today we have our own labs. And now the Phase 2 is all about coming out of the lab, doing the technology stabilization, doing all of these problems or solving these problems. So right now we are really at the, or should I say, the make or break type point. We always are, but right now is about the manufacturing. So what really we are focused on is to take this outside of the lab. We currently do 10 squares like this a day. We hope by the end of the year, beginning of the next, to be able to do 3,000 a day. So that's the sort of scale that we are doing. And then bringing this to Portugal, it's a funny story because we are planning to put this factory in my hometown. I left Portugal, I'm Portuguese myself, I left my hometown when I was 7 years old, and now I found out that over there it's a very small place nobody has ever heard of. To give you an idea, 50% of the people there is my family, so it's that big. And so they are really keen in welcoming a company like this in Portugal. They even gave us a plot of land over there. And so with this grant, we really hope to continue with this. But of course, as the CEO of a company which has never sold anything, it's still a very scary and daunting moment. So you know, let's wait for the next episode if you want to stay tuned. So next year, I hope to be able to tell you we started selling. Let's see.
Well, I wish you all the luck, Hugo. This is an amazing story that you are
Thank you, Agnieszka.
telling us here. Are there any questions for the audience? To Hugo, Wolfgang, or to us, me and Jasper, about the coaching, business acceleration?
Thank you very much for these presentations. I just had a very simple question. What are the conditions to apply for this coaching programming? What stage in the development can you apply? Do you already have to be a business, a fully recognized business, or can it also be in the conception phase? And third of all, can it be also service-based companies, or does it have to be only product-based companies? Thank you.
Thank you. This is a nice question, actually. The last one, you can definitely also be a service-based company. You don't necessarily have to do a product. Every kind of innovation, which means actually our definition of innovation is somehow you should bring value to a customer and obviously also to yourself. That is the innovation definition in a business shape. And the first question, how mature do you need to be? Actually, we are opening up to earlier scale companies and even single researchers sometimes as the outcome of projects that could be eligible for coaching already. So we are going in the earlier direction as we speak. Does that answer your question? Anyone else?
Yeah, maybe lady here.
Is this a top-up for a grant necessarily, or can it be a standalone? And in the next phase with the European Innovation Council, are there going to be any changes to what you're doing?
No, indeed, the coaching is a top-up on the grant. So you need to be an EIC or an European Innovation Council beneficiary to be eligible for the coaching. And what was the first part of the question? No, we're actually not going to change very much, at least not on the coaching scheme about it. But there is one thing that's going to change in the Innovation Council, and that is that the phase 1 that we've had until now, which is the 50,000 lump sum for a feasibility study, that's going to disappear. So, yeah, it's life. So we keep on phase 2, which is actually going stronger. The grant system will change a bit because you can now apply for a grant plus equity, and that is the new thing that we're going into. But the coaching and the acceleration services are, they have proved to be very successful,
yeah.
and we will continue that in a very strong manner.
No, definitely. So what the EIC wants is that is the smart money concept, so that we continue not only just giving funding, but connecting the companies and coaching them and making
and
the business.
peer-to-peer, of course. Huh?
And
that's,
the peer-to-peer.
That's very important.
Yeah. Definitely. I promised gentleman over here, and then Andre.
Ignasi Salvador, Rovira i Virgili University in Tarragona, Catalonia, Spain. How are actually the coaches selected, and how are them assigned to the companies?
For this, actually, they are selected on the basis of their CVs. So we have an open call for expressions of interest for coaches. They send us our CVs, and we check these CVs upon having entrepreneurial experience, having experience with business innovation themselves. They need to have had their hands dirty while trying to create new business. Some of them are investors, some of them are serial entrepreneurs. So that is the kind of qualifications that we need to apply to accept a coach. And the process for getting them to a specific company is that we have a network all over Europe, the Enterprise Europe network, and in that network we have spotted a few people. Well, a few all over Europe means 200, and these 200 are in the proximity of every beneficiary. So as soon as the grant is falling in his direction, we give an account manager in his region the notification that this account manager should visit the company. The account manager does, together with Hugo in this case, a needs analysis about the coaching, and then we suggest a short list of 5 matching coaches to his specific needs, and from these 5, Hugo chooses himself. I think you got 3, a short list of 3?
I got 3 because of our needs were very specific. We were around manufacturing, I believe, and funding access. And then I had the access to these 3. And something I just wanted to add on is that we are a UK company, but our coach is from Austria. So we're not only choosing from a pool around us in our country, we're actually choosing from a pool around the European Union, which is extremely, extremely beneficial. Because if we were just looking around one single region, obviously the choices are really limited. But when we open it up to everyone, the 28 member states at the moment at least, then we have a bigger range of choices. And so Wolfgang is kind enough to travel all the way to the UK to have meetings with us. We've visited his hometown, Graz, to look at opportunities as well. So this really opens up opportunities for us across Europe as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Agnes. I have a more general question. So it's really a huge opportunity for the startups to meet with corporates, at least from a corporate side. It's a huge opportunity to see a lot of startups in Europe. And also learning from each other. So are there any And also you mentioned the SME 1 program is disappearing, so the pool of startups is decreasing. So is there any way that the two, I would say, gems would be able to scale beyond the current SMEs, meaning like the Berlin event, could you scale that to basically get more of the startups meet with each other, but also open it up to more corporates so that you can have a matchmaking at scalable level? And the second one, the coaching, why wouldn't you scale that beyond just the benefits of the SME2 to basically more startups in Europe so that you create more scale from the EIC?
Maybe I will take the first one. So yes, we will see now. It's a creation phase now of what will happen after 2020. And in fact, yes, we will be getting opening. Yeah. So for example, have you heard about the Seal of Excellence? So it's basically the companies that pass the threshold in the evaluation of the EIC Accelerator now, but couldn't get funding because there was not enough budget. So they have quality, the quality is there, it's just that there was not enough funding to actually provide them. But what we want to do is to provide them with the coaching and business acceleration services. So this will make the pool of companies and make the community continue to grow, because there's a lot of companies that can come from this channel. So voilà, but I think what is also important that in the portfolio that we have is that these are the companies that were actually pre-screened for the quality, and I think this is what is important for you as well from Procter & Gamble side, that you work with a community that has a certain level of quality here. And this we want to maintain. I think this is a very strong, let's say, value that we have here. For the coaching?
Well, actually, I think for the coaching, you more or less answered already. There is one other aspect that, indeed, let's say the growth of the community will probably slightly decrease. But actually, when we enter these seals of excellence, that will mean a huge injection of new companies into our system. And one thing, the number of companies will not decrease because we keep them on board. That is a new thing about this EIC way of looking at things. We keep the companies around us and we keep them eligible for the acceleration services even when the project has vanished a long time ago. So we still invite people to Saint-Gobain, etc., who finished the project in 2015.
Yeah. We call it that it's open for life, although we hope that they will not need us for life. Huh? I think we can take one more question and then we wrap up. Okay. Pierre?
For Hugo and Wolfgang, I would like to ask you how you see your relationship in the next 4 or 5 years. Are you going to continue working together?
It's a good question. Yeah, I actually was thinking about that yesterday. We were talking about this because it's true. I think that the funding eventually runs out. I don't know what is actually the normality, because actually that would be a question I would ask myself as well, because I think I found someone very that understands me, and we've took some time to develop this trust relationship. For example, I got the phase 1, which is when I met Wolfgang, and then when I had the phase 2, we could choose the coach again, and I said I don't want to choose another coach. I want to have the same, because I think that I already had taken so long to learn about this coach. I did not want to, take the chance of getting someone else, especially because we've already got to that relationship. So yes, I would be very, very much inclined to explore opportunities to continue working together, but I would pass that question as well.
Yeah. From a coach perspective, we usually have a targeted assignment and then we go away. And the way the program is designed, more and more in strict conflict of interest rules. So I think as it is framed now, I couldn't even take a job from Hugo because I'm not supposed to take any job from any EIC beneficiary. So yeah, that's a question to the program designers actually.
Yeah, This is a bit of a gray zone of where we are going now. Taking a job, indeed, the rules are a bit stricter, I should say. Really taking a job with Hugo, being on his payroll, that would be difficult. But if you just have a sort of, let's say, limited contract-based relationship with each other, we would allow that. But probably actually these rules of conflict of interest might change a bit into the easier direction as of this Christmas in January next year.
Well, I'm an entrepreneur for like a long time, 15 years now. So when I say I get a job somewhere, it's like a contract with a limited scope.
Okay. So there you go. Well, I think this is it, I think, Agnieszka. Thank you very much, Wolfgang, Hugo, and Agnieszka. And I wish you all a very nice conference for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.